I'm going to tell you a way that you can half the duration of your weightlifting sessions and maybe half the amount of weightlifting sessions you do in a week and get better results. Everybody's dream. And disclaimer, I'm not going to tell you to take fucking steroids like a weirdo. For those that are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Paul Green. I'm a former British paratrooper and Special Forces Support Group operator. Trained thousands of elite soldiers over the past decade, including Royal Marines, parachute regiment soldiers, and RAF as well. So I've learned a lot about coaching, but also I've learned a lot from my own training. And in these high performance bubbles, you very quickly learn about the people that are doing things right and the people that are lagging behind, because you just look and you're like, he is an absolute fucking weapon. How does he train? And yeah, I've been a coach in these units as well and spent most of my time in the delivery space. Now I coach men online like yourselves who just need a little bit of refinement so that they're fucking off to the races, right? So one of the great, I'm not going to say one of, the greatest gift I could give any man on this planet with regards to their training is exactly what I'm going to say in this video. It is knowing that you can go to the gym and you can spend half an hour lifting weights, doing 3 or 4 exercises to an exceptionally high standard and get an insane amount of results from them training sessions. That is the greatest gift I can give you, because if I give that to you, you are way less likely to skip a training session and your training sessions are going to be more productive. But this comes down to training standards, right? And it comes down to maintenance of high training standards. And obviously, me as a coach, I overlook the athletes on my program and I make sure that the high standards are maintained. But if you're doing this by yourself, this is exactly the video that I'm going to show you, where first and foremost, you need to be hypercritical of your training standards. And what do I mean by training standards? I mean, can you justify every exercise in today's training session? Can you justify it? One layer deeper than that, can you explain the pros and cons of the exercises in which you are choosing? Number 3, can you justify the order of the exercises in which you have selected? Number 4, are you able, this is the most important one, are you able to train to the highest possible intensity with the highest level of focus throughout the entirety of your training session? If you can't do any of them things, then you just need to have a little look at your program and go, can I justify the exercise selection? Right? So you're looking at all your exercises. Mistake number 1, right, is blokes think that more stuff in the training session is going to get them more results. It's not what gets you more results. More stuff done to the highest possible standard is what gets the results, right? Sadly, most people in the gym nowadays, men, women, whoever, are not training anywhere near as hard enough, so that because they're not training hard enough, they do more. They add an extra exercise on because they're still fresh. It's kind of like they do it. Most of the gym session is a warm-up session. It's warm-up sets. When you get to that point of discomfort, you might do another rep or 2 and you'll stop the set. You've got so much energy. So you keep adding another exercise on. 6 exercises, 3 sets, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, I'm going to do some dips. All do a circuit. You've got so much energy because your training lacks intensity. This is a bitter pill for a lot of men to swallow, right? But I'll talk more about intensity later. We've got exercise priority. You've got to think about what are the most taxing exercises. Should we probably put the taxing exercises first? Should we deprioritize the least taxing exercises? And then, can we look at these least taxing exercises and think, why the fuck am I doing these in the first place? If it's the least priority, why are you doing it? It's like, But you have to justify why you're doing it, genuinely. If you can justify the exercises which you're doing, great. However, you have to be able to challenge yourself. Why are you doing this? I will give an example using myself, right? I will explain how I justify my training session that I did earlier on today. So upper body, right? 3 exercises for chest, 3 exercises for back, 2 exercises per set. I will justify everything. Ready? First exercise. Flat Smith machine bench press. Flat bench is the best exercise for working your chest fibers at their lengthened position. The biggest pro, right? We could split hairs and say there's an argument for dumbbells, there's an argument for barbell. We could split hairs, but the difference is minor, right? Smith machine, more stability, means I can safely add more load. That's why I justify the exercise selection. Don't really need a spotter or anything like that. And the con of the bench press, the con of a dumbbell bench press, is that it doesn't really work the chest fibers in their shortened position, because our chest starts here, pec muscles, and it attaches to our humerus bone. So we basically shorten that muscle by bringing that elbow across, and we get a fucking nice squeeze there. More on that in a second. So I started with flat bench. I did 2 sets. Why did I do 2 sets? Because my sets are till failure. I literally consider a successful set is a set in which I actually achieve failure, because I know I give my absolute all in that set. I do warm-up sets, absolutely. I did like 2 or 3 warm-up sets, maybe even 4 warm-up sets, and it was like bang, heavy set. Few minutes rest. Don't really care about rest because I care about performance or hitting failure. Second set, done. Then I move on to incline dumbbells, right? So the second pressing movement of the session, and same again, exactly the same again. We're going to work the pec fibers in their lengthened position, right? But the con is that we don't really work the pec fibers in their shortened position, which leads me to exercise number 3, pec fly on the cables. The flies allow me to deprioritize that lengthened position and prioritize the squeeze. 3 exercises. Do I need any more? When my training standards throughout them 3 exercises, every rep, every set, is extremely high. The reason I'm doing 2 sets is because about 6 months ago, I was doing 3 sets per exercise, and I noticed my training quality, it just started to fade on the 3rd exercise. So if it was fading, I'm not getting anywhere near as much from that set. I just get rid of it. I just move on to the next, keep the standards high, get out the gym, get back to the life that I want to be living, right? Next exercise was a vertical pull, was chin-ups, right? Again, a couple of warm-up sets, and then I was straight into 2 sets till failure. Next exercise was a horizontal pull, so vertical, then a horizontal pull, and then I did reverse flies. Balanced session, 6 exercises, 2 sets per exercise. How long do you think that took me? Upper body. If I'd done 3 sets on each exercise, I usually say to my clients, 3 sets per exercise takes about 10 minutes, right? So 6 exercises, 10 minutes each, is about 60 minutes. When I do 2 sets per exercise, that session takes 40 minutes. 40 minutes for an upper body session where my training standards could not be higher and the training standards don't drop off. Before I go into the gym, I'm thinking, I only need to do 40 minutes here. Psychologically, I'm not thinking about excuses. I just know that I can go into the gym, execute an extremely productive session in an extremely short amount of time. These start adding up. Trust me, when you're doing a leg session, for example, and you're doing 3 exercises for legs, I like to, right? And I know you've probably got a lot of exercises in the back of your head in your training program where you like to do this, you like to do a single arm, you like to do a single arm vertical pull, you like to do this certain machine, you like to do reverse flies, what about arms? All of these questions are probably in your head. And my answer is split it up. Remember, when you're training and you're just numb, your body's just numb because it's bored, it's unstimulated, or it's overworked, that's probably the time when you should be thinking about, let's get out the gym. And don't panic because you're missing out on all these exercises. Just put them on a different session. For example, I was talking to a bloke earlier on today and he showed me his training session, and it was like there was about 4 different pressing movements. There was about 3 different fly movements. There was dips. He'd done about 10 exercises, 3 sets of every exercise. And people do this because they're not training hard. Because if you were fucking training truly hard, you wouldn't be able to do that much stuff. You wouldn't want to do that much stuff. Your appetite for training after you've just absolutely sent it on a few exercises for a couple of sets each, your appetite for training, you are fucked. You barely bang out a set of press-ups. But because people are just holding off a little bit on the intensity, they still have that energy to burn. And I'm going to go into what an actual really hard set looks like and what it feels like and what you should feel when you pick them dumbbells up and you put them on your legs, because it's important. Because it's easy for me to say, train hard, train intense, but you don't know what intense is, what it really is. Because trust me, I used to be in the fucking Special Forces support group. I thought that I trained hard, but the only time I truly knew when I trained hard was when I actually hired a coach who I sent videos to, and he literally was like, mate, you've got more in the tank. Rule number 1 on intensity. Your intensity has to come from heavy weight lifted. It cannot come from speed of repetitions, it cannot come from tempo, and it cannot come from fucking, what else could it possibly come from? Amount of repetitions, speed of repetitions, and tempo, right? Only can come from heavyweight lifted, right? First rep, you pick up these dumbbells, it instantly feels heavy. And the first rep, you're like, fuck, that feels heavy. The first rep is slow and a struggle. It is an absolute battle to do the first rep, but you can do it. And then you get to about 6 reps and you're like, fucking hell, this is heavy. 7 is a battle. 8, you don't know whether you can do 8. 9, maybe no chance. 10, maybe. If, when you log your workouts, every single set is 10 reps, 10 reps, 10 reps, 10 reps, the same weight, the same amount of reps, you are not training hard enough. Your training standards are very low, and you have got a hell of a lot of low-hanging fruit that you can capitalize on. I'm not going to summarize this video because I've went off a little bit, but I hope that I've given you plenty to think about. It might seem like there is a lot to actually think about here, right? But justify your exercises. Look at the exercise that you're doing and argue the pros of them and the cons. And just do, if exercises are doing the same thing, then maybe cut some of that out. You don't need to do 4 horizontal pressing movements in a session. You can get away with 1 or even 2. You don't need to do 2 or 3 different versions of flies. You don't. You really do not. And how do you know for certain? How do I know for certain? Because of the data. Every week you improve your strength by maybe 1 rep, maybe 2 reps, right? Most weeks. That's how I know. Because you've got to be able to ask yourself, on all of these exercises that you're doing and all of these sets that you're doing, are you improving on everything? Probably not, because you're not training hard enough. That is how we have to force the body to grow stronger. And the way we do that is by making sure the standards in which we are training. And what this actually looks like and feels like in the gym is you are just in the zone. You're locked in, you've got your headphones on, and you just care that little bit more about every single repetition in the gym than most other people left and right of you. You just care that little bit more, right? And because you care that little bit more, your standards are higher than them, meaning you have the greatest gift of training. You can do less, but better, and still achieve more than everybody else, and still achieve more than the previous version of yourself.